Alrighty, we should be good to go. Let me make sure my audio is good. If you can't hear me, you can't see me, let me know. But I think we are good. Good morning, good morning, good morning. What's good, Tyler? What's good, what's good? Let me go ahead and update OBS. Give me 1 second, guys. All right, I think we're good. So I'll go ahead and talk about gold in a second. We gotta talk about gold. We gotta talk about GU. This right here is just beautiful. I love this right here. We gotta talk about GA. GA is looking good for a potential sell. We gotta talk about ranges this morning, which is super important. Ranges, recap on gold and GU from yesterday's move, which was beautiful, guys. Perfect execution. Simply just going off of what I know off of price action, waiting for a break of structure, being patient with the market, being patient with the candlesticks, and finding that perfect entry. But I definitely want to cover ranges. And we might talk about liquidity. GM's looking good as well when we talk about the concept of ranges. This is beautiful. This is a beautiful setup right now. Euro USD did the same thing, guys. When we talk about the concept of ranges, and I'll go ahead and cover that later this stream. Let's go ahead and highlight this pair so we can come back to it. Euro AD is forming a nice range, choppy range. And what do we do when we have ranges, guys? We wait for a break of structure from the upside or from the downside. And once we have that break of structure, we're simply looking to the left to see what price was doing before. We had a lot of bullish momentum, a lot of bullish traffic heading into that range. So more than likely, if we have a break of structure to the downside, it's going to fill up all these candles. It's going to have a traffic fill, grabbing all this liquidity as well that's hanging from the bottom. Because we have to remember, we're in a range, right? A lot of traders are hopping in regardless. So they're hopping in right here. They're catching some buys. They're hopping in right here, placing long positions. And they're forming a lot of value that a lot of traders are going to grab eventually. The traders that we're trading against, right? So if we have a break in structure, we might have a like impulse candle as it takes out all these orders and heads to our nearest support, filling up these candles right here. All right, so that's something we might see this morning. I'm gonna go ahead and highlight that on Euro AUD. Euro CAD, talked about this yesterday with news, CPI. We had some manipulation. A lot of people were telling me I should hop in, but this red candle would have taken me out. We go ahead and scale on a 30-minute. Price was around this area right here. So if I would have hopped in, my stop loss would have been wide. This wick probably would have scared me. Probably would have hopped out, like most people, as it kind of fakes a lot of people out. So CPI news was red. A lot of people lost a lot of money, most likely, because yes, we had a nice setup off this demand zone, but once news came out, we had a lot of bearish momentum. And then now it's kind of stagnant at this demand zone. So we're going to keep an eye on Euro CAD as well, see what happens. But not too much is going on, as you guys can see. It's either going to respect the zone or break through and head to the nearest low. So about 20 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and explain ranges. We're going to look at news and try to look for some setups. All right. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and check news on Forex Factory. So 8:30 a.m. we only have news on USD pairs. It's the Philly Fed Manufacturing Index, and then we have unemployment claims. Not too much going on this morning. So 8:30 USD pairs. 10 a.m. we have existing home sales on USD as well, and then later today we have this going on after 7:30 p.m. Let's go ahead and check FX Street. GU battles 1200 amid USD retreat. UK political woes. GU remains vulnerable near 1200 amid the looming UK leadership crisis. The US dollar weakens, struggles to find demand despite surging treasury yields in a tepid market mood. So the US dollar weakens, struggles to find demand. So let's go ahead and check if that's accurate real quick on GU. It struggles to find demand. So what do we mean when we talk about that, right? So what I'm thinking about is my demand zones, right? So as you guys can see on the 4-hour, this is looking pretty sloppy. Let me go ahead and delete this. But it's struggling to find some sort of support. Where is it going to end up respecting? What zone, what area before it pushes up? So that's what it's really talking about, guys, as it's saying it's struggling to find some sort of zone. So if we kind of mark this up, you can see how GU doesn't really know where it wants to go. It makes its way to this surface, then it bounces up, then it bounces up, comes in, then it bounces up. So it doesn't really know where it wants to rest. Okay. Yes, I did have this marked up before as a zone as well. It had a break of structure. So it's kind of just doing its thing right now. All right. So we're gonna keep an eye on GU. That's what we have for that. And I'm actually gonna send this to the Discord so you guys can read up on that if you want. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the box and strategy. Before we cover ranges, I want to cover what happened on gold yesterday. This was a beautiful setup. Let's go ahead and talk about it real quick. So basically, guys, whenever you see price kind of consolidating or you see some sort of choppy market, in this example, gold was kind of doing its thing. We had this nice supply zone, it had a breaker structure, and came into this choppy range. It's going down, up, down, up, down, up. There's not a given support or resistance. It's pretty choppy. So whenever you guys see something like this, just box it up. Simply take your tool, your rectangle tool, and box a price. So in this example, we're waiting for two things: for price to have a breaker structure to the upside, or price to have a breaker structure to the downside. And when it comes to trading, guys, you got to realize it's all about high probability. So when you guys scale out, doing top-down analysis, simply look to the left of price. Is there any traffic? Is there a place that price is more than likely going to go towards because of liquidity? So I'm looking to the left. I see all of this right here. These bullish candles forming some sort of traffic before we have these ranges, right? Range 1 right here, range 2. Price comes into range 2, or I'm sorry, price makes its way to range 2. It does a thing for a while before making its way back down to range 1. So where is this range in? Well, since we have all this traffic, eventually it has to be filled. And this is what you call a traffic fill. So when I come to that right, notice how when we have this breaker structure, price takes out all of these orders because a lot of liquidity is also being built up around this area. Also from right here as well. So you guys have to remember, when we have a range, people are buying at that LPI, which means lowest point of interest. So when people hit that support and you're in a range, a lot of traders are hopping in because they know when you're in a range, it's going to go back up to the given resistance. So support, resistance, etc. And when we have that breaker structure, not only is it grabbing these orders from this range, but it's also grabbing all of this. So this is our traffic fill. That's what I mean when I say traffic fill. So whenever we have a breaker structure, price is going to fill all of this, which it does. So this bullish candle, all this momentum right here gets filled, and then we tap TP3. This was a nice 1 to 3. I was risking 50 pips, so 50 times 3 is 150. In this trade, I caught 150 pips, which is awesome. So that's how I use this method, guys. You can use it all the time as well. It doesn't just work on gold. I personally love using it on gold because it works almost all the time. But whenever you see price kind of stagnant or you see a choppy range, simply just box it up and wait. Wait for that breaker structure. Look to your left. See if there's any traffic. If there is, highlight it because more than likely that's going to be filled as you head to your next low or your next area of support or demand. All right. And in a second, I'm going to talk about ranges. I think it's really important that a lot of people understand what ranges are, the concept of ranges, because whenever price is in a trend, it's heading towards another range. It's not going to stay in your first given range. It's always going to continue to move up. As we have a retracement, as you place your Fibonacci tool, it's going to go to another range. If that trend decides to reverse, and that's a breaker structure, and then it might go back to your first range. But when you guys understand what ranges are, you can catch some nice setups. So I'm going to go ahead and cover this in a second because we might find some moves on GA this morning. This is looking really good. So we have ranges on GA. We have ranges on Euro USD. And then we have the boxing method on Euro AUD that I just explained on gold. So these are the 4 pairs we want to cover, especially GN. We have this as well. So there's a lot going on this morning, all right? Hopefully we can catch some nice moves. But I will be back in 2 minutes. I'm going to make sure my Discord is okay. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and ask. But I will be right back. All right, let's get it. Sorry about that. I was just making sure my Discord was okay. Um, let's go ahead and talk about ranges. This is super important, guys. And of course, not a lot of people are in here, but this will be saved, and I might clip this up later for education purposes only. But let's go ahead and look at GA first. So notice how price is doing its thing, right? It's kind of stagnant, it's kind of consolidating, but you guys can clearly see that it's also bouncing off this demand and then coming to this resistance. And this is what I had marked up yesterday. We had this move, it came up to 17,9,689, and then eventually it started to melt, right? So when we talk about ranges, you guys have to understand price is always forming a range, whether if it's in a range or if it's in a bullish trend, a bearish trend, price is always fluctuating and forming ranges. Now, this is really important because whenever price is in a trend, it's not always going to be in a trend. It's not always going to move up. It's not always going to move down. Eventually, you're going to have a trend reversal. And when your trend reverses, you know, and you have your ranges marked up, you can use those ranges as a clear indication of a break of structure or price is heading into this certain area and catch some really good entries. Sell stop, buy stop, because you already have those ranges marked up. And you clearly can see where price is going to have that break of structure. So in this example on GA, notice when I scale out, I already have these ranges marked up, right? So we have price doing its thing in its second range, and then on our first range, I marked this up simply off of this bullish candle. So we have all this traffic right here, and then price has this wick that I have highlighted right here with this arrow bouncing off of this demand. So as we have this wick and as we have this bullish opening, this forms our second range. So price has its second range, it's doing what it's doing, and eventually when it decides to come back to this first range, we can highlight that break of structure and be prepared to exit, or I'm sorry, be prepared to enter. So when I scale on the 30-minute, notice how price is rejecting off of that newly formed supply. Now we can try to find entries for that continuation. I'm going to explain that one more time because I know that might sound confusing, and we have other examples. But basically, when it comes to ranges, you guys want to be prepared for moves like this in case we have an impulsive entry. Because ranges work off of zones, ranges work off of traffic, liquidity, and you kind of want to just be ready in case we have that break in structure and price decides to move really fast. So GA, looking for sells, obviously, because it broke our demand, and now it's back into our first range, okay? And all these candles have to be filled. We have these nice bullish candles back to back, which actually formed our range in the first place. And whenever we have a range from the beginning, it has to come back from the start. So I'm gonna go ahead and highlight this. We're gonna try to find an entry on GA this morning and also an exit. So in 30-minute, you can clearly see this bullish candle is reacting off of his zone. You guys see that? We can even scale on the 50-minute. We have a nice pullback. So honestly, we could enter in right now. We can most definitely enter in right now. See, price is doing its thing. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and put this up in case you guys want to enter in. I might enter in a second as well. Because not only is it coming back to our first range, but if we opt in right now, our stop loss will be pretty tight. So we actually make this, we're gonna make this 30 pips actually. Hopefully price decides to come back up just a little bit because I do not like to enter in when my candles are away from my zones. Bless me. Because if we enter in right now, and if I stuck to my rule, having my stop loss above my zones, guys, this would be 70 pips. That's too wide. That's way too wide. And of course, I made this tight. Yes, we could put it like this and then drag it out, but you're still at risk because price is still fluctuating. It's not even 7 o'clock yet. This is looking beautiful, guys. See, these, when it comes to these examples, when you're trading with ranges, honestly, you can swing. So on regular Forex pairs, using these concepts, I would ideally swing. If you want to put your stop loss at a safe area, you know, above this zone, you could ideally make it a 1-to-1, because this would be considered safe because we have a break of structure and it's going into our first range. So there's not a good chance that's actually going to wake you out because it's moving on from its original range or its previous range, which was this one right here. Second range, zone gets broken. You can clearly see that it's reacting off this zone as well, our newly formed supply, and pushing down because it has to fill all this traffic to our left. Okay? Very, very simple. I'm gonna go ahead and explain another example as well when it comes to ranges, but this is a great setup for GA. So if you guys are looking for sells, I would keep an eye on that because price is heading to our first range, which is more than likely going to fill all this bullish traffic. All right. So on Euro USD, I think I had another example. Okay, this is a good example as well, but it's more complex, so we're gonna move on. But as you guys can see, this bullish candle creates our ranges, or this bullish momentum, bullish traffic, pushes up into our second range, and then finally has a break of structure, pushing it into our original range. But I don't really like this example. Euro AUD is the boxing method. We're gonna come back to this. Hey guys, remember to subscribe to the channel. Good to have you, Narshi. Thank you for joining. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Glad to have you in here, for real. We're gonna come back to Euro AUD and talk about the box strategy that I used on gold yesterday. Talk about how I caught that 150 pip move on gold and how you can implement that strategy on the other Forex pairs, okay? But I think there's one more example. Okay, so here's another example of ranges. Let's go ahead and move this over here. But as you guys can see, I have two ranges marked up. I have my first range and I have my second range, right? So as price is doing its thing, we have our second range being respected until it breaks our previous demand. So let me delete all this for a second. Let me delete all this. Or matter of fact, let me just remove everything, okay? So when it comes to supply and demand, right, how do you mark up your zones? You simply wait until you have a impulsive trigger in the market. Bearish traffic, bullish traffic, you want to try to find the biggest candles back to back that hold a lot of volume, okay? So in this example, if we moved price to this area, we can clearly see these bullish candles are forming some sort of traffic. So when it comes to supply and demand, I'm simply just taking my rectangle tool and place it from the bottom of the previous bearish candle before we have that bullish impulsive trigger to the top of that wick and dragging it all the way out, right? So now, more than likely, when price decides to kind of relax, exhaust from having that bullish momentum, this zone's gonna be respected, which it is. So these wicks right here, this bullish wick is indicating it's bouncing off of the zone, and then boom, it has another touch right here. People are hopping in, catching some nice buys. Now, when we look at this, you guys can clearly see that price is having a break of structure. So when it comes to ranges, we could ideally mark this up as our second range right here, and then look for our previous range. And all I'm doing, guys, is going to the next low. So next example, or next demand, we're looking for our previous bullish trigger or our previous bullish traffic and doing the same thing. Placing our rectangle tool, the bottom of that bearish wick to the top, simply pushing it out. And now we're waiting for price to do its thing. So this is our first range. And on the 1 hour, we can actually make this tighter as well. Now we're waiting for price to do its thing. So since we have this break of structure and we're going off of the concept of traffic, these candles eventually have to be filled, guys. So if price decides to continue to sell, all this is going to be grabbed and it's going to head to our next formed zone. or our newly demand. So good sells on GA, or I'm sorry, on GN. But what are we waiting for? A simple retracement. We had it right here. So our people are hopping in right here. That's awesome. Catching some nice sells. Me personally, I'm just going to wait a little bit. We're going to wait for the next 15 minutes or the next 15-minute opening since we're on the 15-minute time frame. Same thing goes for Euro AUD. I'm sorry. What was it? For GA as well. GN and GA might move accordingly. But this is something that I'm looking at, guys. So we're going to highlight that in green. Green meaning we're waiting for that impulsive trigger after we have that break of structure and price is retracing off of our newly formed supply. We might see how it moves in the next 5 minutes. If I do find a good entry point, I will hop in. But yeah, and then on Euro AUD, this is the concept of my box strategy method. When you guys have a range, when price is looking like it's kind of going back and forth from support, resistance, support, resistance, support, resistance. In this example, support, or I'm sorry, resistance, support, resistance, support, resistance, support. You can clearly see price is going in and out. It's forming a range. Okay? Now when it comes to ranges, you're waiting for two things. The price to have a breakout to the upside or price to have a breakout from the downside. And remember, there is liquidity floating above and below this range. There is liquidity floating above this range right here, right here, right here, down here, down here. Why? Because you guys have to remember, in ranges, a lot of traders know if it's at a support line, resistance line, people are hopping in for sells, for buys because they know it's a range. So if it's in a range and price is at our resistance, why not hop in for sells if we know it's going to be in a range? So because people are hopping in right here, there is liquidity being built up. This area from your entry to your stop loss holds liquidity, holds some sort of value that the traders you're trading against want to grab. This is why it's called a liquidity grab. And then same thing from the bottom. Price makes its way down to that support line. People are hopping in right here. People are hopping in right here. And again, that area between your stop loss and your entry, here to here, holds some sort of value. It holds some sort of liquidity that people are trying to grab, people that you're trading against, guys. So in this example, one thing we want to use as a confirmation or a confluence to decide if it's going to have a breakout to the upside or downside is to look at previous price. Try to figure out what price was doing before it entered in this range. So as I scroll to the left, you guys can clearly see all this bullish traffic initially formed this range. And when it comes to traffic, eventually it has to be filled. So all I'm doing is highlighting these bullish candles so that when we have a break of structure to the downside and decides to have an impulsive trigger, I know it's going to take out all these candles, filling this gap, coming to this lowest low or a newly formed demand. So I'm going to go ahead and take this rectangle tool, place this from wick to wick. That was an accident. Let me go ahead and do that again. So I can take this rectangle tool, place it from this last bearish wick to the top, and simply drag this out like this. So I know when price has a break of structure, which I have highlighted right here, it's going to be attracted or it's going to come down to this newly formed demand. Why? Because yes, there is liquidity floating below, which it is going to grab, but also these candles have to be grabbed or they have to be filled. Hopefully that makes sense, guys. Hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, I can explain it again, or I'll make a separate video on it. I think I already have a video up on my channel, but hopefully this makes sense. This is how I was able to catch this 150 pip move on gold. Simply just waited for price out the break of structure. It was in a range. Notice we had some liquidity, right? But also, scaling out on my higher time frames, I simply looked to the left and saw all this. And once I knew that we had some sort of traffic, I realized that it also had to be filled. Okay, delete this. So we're gonna see what happens in the next 10 minutes or so, the next 15-minute opening, and we're gonna try to execute. As you guys can see, I can't make this up. I cannot make this up. The move is already happening right now on GN. The move is happening right now, guys. I can't make this up. Price is literally having a huge impulse move off of what I just explained when it comes to ranges. And this was like 15 minutes ago. Yes, I could have hopped in, but I was too busy explaining this concept. That's all good. It's all good. Because the beautiful thing about ranges, once this gets tapped, we can look for buys. But literally, guys, I cannot make this up. The reason why this move is happening so fast is because it's taking advantage of all this right here. It knows and sees all this right here. All this bullish traffic. It's literally being filled in our eyes right now off of the concept of ranges. We have our first range, we have our second range, we're waiting for that break of structure. And once we have that break of structure, we're looking for the retracement, which was the bullish candle. Once we have that retracement, people are hopping for sells and they're placing their TPs around this demand zone. You guys will see this over and over again. Yes, I did miss this move. It does kind of suck. We could have hopped in. I could have had a nice sell, but you guys will see this over and over again. So you're not missing out. But if you have an analysis, and if you're able to explain this, guys, it only gets easier and easier. So the fact that I was able to explain this before this move happened, and then it's happening in our eyes, gives me more confidence. So that when I see this every single day when I wake up for a new session, I can simply hop in and execute. I'm not nervous, I'm not scared, because this happens over and over again. So my theory is, if you're able to analyze the market, and if your analysis goes correct, you win. At the end of the day, you win, okay? So yes, I didn't hop in this trade, but the fact that I was able to analyze this and talk about this concept as it's happening in front of my eyes gives me more confidence and tells me that I can find this move on any pair. This is beautiful, guys. Literally happening in our face. I might clip this up. I might put this on Instagram. Because this is something that happened live in my face as I just explained it. This is beautiful, guys. I'm going to go ahead and highlight this. Let's see if it's happening on GA as well. GA, same thing, guys. Literally, just talked about this. Same thing on GA, guys. Can't make this up. GA has a nice break of structure. We have two ranges, our first range and our second range. Price melts through our previous demand, waiting for that retracement. You guys can clearly see it's respecting that newly formed supply zone as it heads down to our new low. Zoom out, you can clearly see there's bullish traffic right here, these bullish candles back to back. Eventually they have to be filled. So in this example, when's the best time to enter in? Once we have that retracement off of that zone. You guys don't want to follow price. Yes, this move's happening right now. I'm excited. And a lot of people, they mess up because they get so excited and they try to follow price. They try to hop in right away. But you're putting your stop loss at risk. That's just what it is. So the best thing to do is to just analyze this and wait for a next setup. Either for a buy, once it has that retracement off of 1769.38, or let's say it's still fluctuating. Let's say this could be a fake out and wait for price to tap that newly formed supply again. But in this example, you just want to be patient, guys. Do not follow price. Yes, this move is happening in my face. I'm really excited right now. I want to hop in. But the reality is I'm putting my stop loss at risk. The best time to enter in would have been at around here when we had that retracement off that newly formed supply. Same thing goes for GN. Best time to enter in would have been at this wick. Okay? And look, this move already happened, guys. This move literally already happened. And this is how you build really strong psychology, guys. You know, when it comes to trading, a lot of people mess up because when the move is happening in their face and that impulsive trigger is already happening, you hop in and then it starts to wick you out. You start to be in drawdown. You guys have to be patient in this industry. You know, a lot of people don't have that discipline. But when you're disciplined, you're going to avoid those big losses. Because if I placed my stop loss a lot wider, following my rule of having it near our HPI of our supply or demand, then I'm at risk. I'm at a really big risk than I initially wanted my stop loss to be, which is not good, guys. It's horrible. But yeah, those are two pairs I'm looking at this morning, GN and GA. If you guys want to look at any pairs, analyze them, talk about them, I can. But so far this morning, I talked about the box-in method. something I always talk about. And then we talked about ranges. And literally, as I was explaining this, the move was happening in my face, which is awesome. You guys can use this method to swing on any forex pair. So this would have been an 80 pip move, which is beautiful. And then same thing goes over here. This would have been 100 pips, guys, or this is 100 pips as this move is still happening. Best thing we can do right now is wait for price to have a retracement again to enter in. Same thing on GN. You guys don't want to follow price. You want to lead it to a given area to execute your trades. We only have news at 8:30 also on USD pairs, Philly Fed Manufacturing Index. You guys can read up on that as well if you don't know what it is. You just click on that folder to the right, and then you can read up on it right here. So you can get a nice perspective of what the market is doing off of the economy. But hopefully you guys are having a good week. This week has been really good for me. No L's so far. So in about 2 minutes, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to make sure Discord is good. I'll go away for 2 minutes. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them. Hopefully you guys are having a good morning. And hopefully what I just explained makes sense. If anything doesn't make sense, guys, just let me know. I know I speak fast. I've been doing this for a long time, so when I see something and when I explain it, it makes sense to me, but it might not make sense to the people that are new. So if I speak too fast, please let me know. If I need to go over something that's confusing, let me know. These lives are for you guys, not for me. So this is saying go to his stop loss, but I actually forgot to delete my alert because this move already happened. We already hit our TPs. So that alert was really irrelevant. Don't worry about that, guys. Look how perfect my execution was, though. Look how perfect my exit was. I'm sorry, not execution. TP3 was smacked before it came back up. This is beautiful. But this is now irrelevant. Already made my money on gold yesterday. This is so beautiful, guys. Literally just talked about this. Next goal is to talk about a concept and hop in as I'm explaining it. But I was super distracted. I was making sure I was explaining this correctly. Didn't have time to execute this trade because I do trade mobily, guys. I only trade on my phone. I know I can connect it to my computer, but I'm still trying to figure that out so it can save me time. But again, I'm only one person doing everything. So when I explain a concept, I'm more focused on explaining the concept than hopping in until that concept is clear to everyone watching. But this is beautiful. This happened in front of my face. Before this move happened, I explained what was going to happen, and it happened. So when you guys have this, when you guys practice analyzing your markets and then the moves happen in your face, that's going to build more market confidence. I talked about this in a previous video I put out 2 weeks ago. You know, when it comes to Forex or this industry in general, you got to have market confidence. Because if you don't, you're not going to hop in any trades. Therefore, you're not going to make any money. But when you go ahead and analyze something and it goes in your favor, that's a win because you're going to see it over and over again. The market has memory. The market goes off of price action, supply, demand, any type of concept. You're going to see it over and over again. So in this example, when it comes to ranges, you're going to see this over and over again, guys. This isn't going to be the only time that this happens. You're never going to miss out on something if it goes in your favor. But GA is doing the same thing. Beautiful, man. Definitely got to talk about this in a video, or I might just clip it up on Instagram. See, this is 90 pips. So, from what I just explained, if you guys are able to mark this up on your charts, you know, when it comes to ranges, you guys can find 80 pip to 100 pip moves on regular forex pairs. Yes, I know a lot of people scalp on the 5 minute, 15 minute, 30 minute. They use the concept of supply and demand. But when you guys use ranges on higher time frames, instead of 20 to 50 pips, you guys could be catching 80 to 100 pip moves. The same amount of pips I catch on gold on a weekly basis. Simply just using ranges. I cannot stress how important it is to understand that price is always forming ranges. Price is always fluctuating. If it's in a bullish trend, price is always forming new ranges. And the reason why this is important, like I stated earlier, is because price isn't always going to move up. Price isn't always going to move down. It's going to go to another range that you had marked up previously. And once you have that marked up previously, number one, you can identify break of structure. And number two, you can identify traffic that needs to be filled as it moves towards its newly found demand zone or newly found supply zone. In this example, price has its break of structure after we had its second range. It was doing its thing last week. Once it has its break of structure, we're looking for that retracement. In this case, on the 30 minute, we see this bullish candle. It's clearly wicking off of our newly formed supply zone. Once we see that, we're hopping in and we're placing our TPs to our newly formed demand zone from our original first range. Literally happening in our face. Can't make this up. So I'm gonna go ahead and review that later today. I might make a YouTube video if I have time. I'm doing a lot today, but yeah, hopefully that makes sense, guys. If it doesn't, just let me know. I'm gonna go ahead and take a 5 minute break as well. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and ask. But we covered a lot so far. We talked about ranges and we talk about the boxing strategy that I use almost every day. If you guys have any questions, you can go ahead and ask them. If you guys have any pairs you want me to talk about, I can. But hopefully everything that I explained made sense. I know I speak extremely fast. I speak fast when I'm excited. I speak fast when I know what I'm talking about. So if you guys have any questions, just let me know and I will slow down. But hopefully you guys are having a good morning, having a good week. Make sure you guys are drinking water. And also make sure you guys join the Discord. Also, I'm thinking about getting a stream deck, guys. Because it make my life a lot easier doing these transitions. But let me know what you guys want to see as well. I was thinking about doing reaction videos, having another scene when we take a break, reacting off of what's going on in the industry, reacting off of off of anything, honestly, doing reaction videos, doing anything funny for you guys in the morning. But I know people are kind of tired when they watch my lives since it is New York session. Um, but I'm still kind of brainstorming because I want to make this as entertaining and educational as possible. Um, this is all I have right now. All I have is a another scene where I have a little timer that counts down from 5 minutes, and then I have my screen with all the other stuff. And then I have my starting soon scene. I'm gonna add more stuff most likely this weekend. I gotta change my intro as well. I feel like my intro's extremely corny. We have about a minute. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask any. Every question is a good question. We have about 1 more minute. Yeah. Let's see. Alrighty, and we're back. All right, so Euro AUD looks like it's about to have that move. I'm gonna get ready to execute this trade, guys. Ugh. Let me go ahead and get ready for this. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm gonna make sure my Discord's good. But in this example, I'd probably place a sell stop, which is basically this continuation of price. So this is 20 pips. Give me 1 second, guys. Give me 1 second. All right, we should be good to go. Now I am going to delete this because it's not fair for the people that are paying for the signal chat. But I will continue to talk about my analysis. Okay, let me go ahead and put my alerts as well. 518, or let's keep it right here, and then 20 pips. And that's the thing, guys. Like in this example as well on Euro AUD, who's not to say this could just bounce up? Because it is in a range, right? So it could just continue to push up. But we know if it does have a break of structure, it's going to have an impulsive trigger off of this traffic right here because it has to be filled. And also this liquidity being built up from below. So not only is it going to have a liquidity grab, but it's going to fill up the rest of this bullish traffic right here, pushing down to our newly formed demand zone, or our previous demand zone, right, from our first range. Because yes, you could also combine the method of ranges or the concept of ranges when it comes to the boxing method as well. Because yes, technically, this is our first range. And yes, technically, this is our second range, right? This is a range, prices going in and out, and this is our first range if we have a break of structure. So that's the beauty when it comes to these concepts. You guys can combine them with other concepts. And once you guys combine these other concepts with other concepts, it's only going to look more clear. You're not going to be afraid to enter in the market because you know what you're doing. You know what price is reacting off of and how price reacts. It's just price action, guys. It's literally just price action. Look at that, guys. I literally talked about this as the stream was going on. So the stream started at 6 o'clock, guys. Look at the hour candle. This candle just formed. So you guys could have caught this whole move as I was explaining this concept. You know, there might be moves you guys might be able to hop in without my help. As I'm explaining these concepts, if it makes sense, you guys can hop in. If I don't hop in, it's because I'm putting you guys first. I wasn't able to hop in because I was too focused on explaining this concept, which is funny as hell. But literally as I was explaining this move, it happened. So this would have been a 90 pip move, which is amazing. And look at how it's respecting our newly formed demand or previous demand zone. Can't make this up, guys. This is beautiful. This is beautiful right here. So shoot, sometimes on days when I'm explaining concepts, you guys might be able to hop in on trades that I'm not paying attention to. You might call me out as well. Be like, yo, you're explaining this concept. It sounds all good, but you should actually hop in. You should treat yourself, bro. So I didn't miss out on this move, but it happened, guys. Let me move this. All right, guys, I'll be right back. Let me make sure my Discord is okay. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask. But until then, I'll see you guys in about 5 minutes. All right? I'm out. Alrighty, we're back. We're back. We're back. So yeah, we're just waiting on Euro AUD. That's the only thing I'm looking at right now. As far as these other pairs that I talked about, if you guys hopped in any of these moves, that's awesome, because literally the move happened as I was explaining it, which is super super amazing. So on gold, I was recapping that move from yesterday. GU, same thing. GA move is happening as we speak. Personally, I'm not hopping in because I want to wait until price is at a nice zone. Um, Although you could hop in for a nice scalp on the 15-minute, you guys could use the concept of fibs, right? So when we talk about a continuation of price, it's always retracing to a given area. So we could play something like this. As price is heading toward our newly found support. But scaling out on the higher time frames, personally this move already happened. So we're just gonna analyze this. If you guys do want to hop in, that's perfectly fine, but that's how I would hop in. I would go on the lower time frames, look for a retracement, hop in on that HPI. So this is a trade I'm gonna review later today, especially on GN as the move was happening as I was speaking. But yeah, the only trade I took this morning was on Euro AUD. Here's another concept when it comes to traffic. I already had this marked up, but if you guys do not have previous structure for a continuation, for example, if this was a bearish market and we're looking for a continuation, you don't see any lower lows or lower highs previously, then eventually if it has a break of structure, all the traffic is going to get filled, which it's doing right now. So this is the first range. This impulsive trigger was off of this, guys. It's just filling in this gap. So there's lots to review today. Personally, I could have hopped in several trades this morning, only hopped in one. Unfortunately, we missed the move on GN as I explained the concept, but that is A-okay. You guys come first. Also, if this does decide to push back up, that is perfectly fine because it's also building up more liquidity, right? Because people are hopping in for buys right now. There's a lot of liquidity floating below this range. So when we do have that impulsive trigger, it's going to go crazy. Let's see if any news came out on FX Street. Nothing new, which is perfectly fine. Forex Factory, again, there's only news at 8:30 on the Philly Fed Manufacturing Index for USD pairs. But there's a lot of stuff I have to review today. A lot happened this morning. All my analyses are going in their favor, which is beautiful. It's okay if I don't execute some trades, guys, as long as I'm educating people, as long as my analysis is going in its favor, as long as it's respecting my bias, it makes me know that I'm doing something. Because let's say if I'm analyzing something, especially on GN, If I'm talking about a concept and you guys feel comfortable about it, you guys could hop in as I'm explaining it, and then you guys could make some money, which is perfectly fine. If I miss out on moves, I'm gonna see it over and over again. For you guys, you don't understand the concept, and if I explain it, if it makes sense, feel free to hop in whatever. Me personally, I missed out, which is perfectly okay because I'm gonna see it over and over again. As long as I know my analysis is correct, that lets me know that I can find this move over and over again. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So this was a pretty good morning. So we covered the two trades from yesterday, but this morning we have GA, we have Euro USD, we have Euro AUD, and we have GN. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 pairs that we analyzed, and it's going in its respected analysis. If anything didn't make sense, if I explained something that didn't make sense, you guys could ask. I know there's only like 2 people in here. Thank you guys for sticking through the mud. Appreciate you guys, as I'm going to start doing these more often and consistently throughout the fourth quarter. But I appreciate everyone that's showing support, as I am still new to this. Might end the stream a little earlier at 7:30, depends. But I covered everything that I wanted to talk about. My goal is to start extending these streams to 2 hours, but right now 1 hour and 30 minutes is my marker. Only because there's not too many people in here. I don't want to just keep talking about the same things. So I'm gonna incorporate more angles next week. I'm gonna incorporate more ideas into my live streams, make them more entertaining, because I understand it's the morning. Not a lot of people have a strong attention span. And also, I am new to this. So it's expected to have about 1 or 2 people to my streams. But I appreciate you guys for real. Definitely going to go crazy this fourth quarter. But I'm not going to hold you guys up for 2 hours. So might end it earlier. And then I might post a video on YouTube later today, on Instagram, or in the Discord. So we have about 10 more minutes. If you guys have any questions, let me know. But the only trade that I hopped in this morning was Euro AUD. It's been a really good week so far. And one thing that you guys will notice about me, I like to take big opportunities. So I know other traders, they hop in multiple trades during the week and they have small pip gains, like 20 pips, 30 pips. Me personally, if I take a trade on gold, for example, yesterday was a 150 pip move. Guys, I'm done for the week. You get what I'm saying? 150 pips is amazing. So I like to catch big moves that range from 50 to 200 pips. So yes, my record, you'll see through the week, it'll be like 2 winning trades or 3 winning trades. For the new people that are joining, they'll be like, oh, damn, he's only taking like 2 to 3 trades that are 20 pips. No, I'm taking 3 to 2 trades that equal 100 pips. In total, around 500, okay? 500 or 200 to 500, let me not exaggerate. But those are the type of trades I like taking, especially on gold. Also, make sure you guys are following my Instagram. I'm going to start posting more on there. I started posting yesterday, but there's a lot more videos to come. But yeah, I don't have too much to talk about. I think I covered everything that I wanted to cover. If everything made sense, that's awesome. If it didn't, this stream will be posted later today so you guys can review. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I love answering any type of questions. Every question is a great question. I also have to fix my chat. I'm not sure why it's getting cut off, but this needs to be fixed by this week. I think I'm gonna incorporate more things on my screen, my win percentage throughout throughout the month slash year, so you guys can know all that information. And I think I'm gonna put something else up. But so far, this is all I have. Hopefully, it looks good. We got the trades taken live. We have the October win loss weekly tracker. So far, I'm 100% this week. 3 wins, 0 losses, which is awesome. I have the personal brokers I recommend. I have my social layers, my website, my Instagram, my mentorship, 3 logo. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I might add more stuff, but oh, then I have the little announcement banner that's going across, basically just saying, join my free Discord, free resources, all that good stuff. But yeah, we're gonna end this live in 8 minutes. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. And I'm gonna end the screen in about 3 minutes and just exit the live. But I'll take any questions. And I hope you guys are having a good morning. Hopefully you guys are you were able to hop in some trades that I talked about. If not, you hopped in Euro AUD. And if you guys did not hop in Euro AUD, that's perfectly fine. You know, the point of my lives is not for you guys to take every setup that I take. Is to make sure you guys are educated. Make sure you guys know what you're doing. Make sure my concepts make sense. Anything that you're struggling with, hopefully improves off of my lives. It's all about education. And I should be live tomorrow, same time, guys. 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. And then we'll end the week there. Again, we have some news at 8:30, so as the live ends, if I see any setups, I will send them in the Discord. So make sure you guys are there. Otherwise, this will end in 7 minutes. So yeah, like I stated earlier, I'm gonna start pushing my streams to 2 hours sometime next month. But for now, October, my streams are gonna average 1 hour and 30 minutes, just because there's not too many people on here, and just due to timing. So as I add more stuff, as I progress, as I decide what I want to incorporate into my live streams, they're gonna average 1 hour and 30 minutes for now, which is perfectly fine. And then eventually I want to average 2 hours or 2 hours and 30 minutes. All right, so we have 5 minutes for the stream ends. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and do so, or go ahead and ask away. Hopefully this stream was helpful. As I explained what ranges are, I explained the boxing method. I talked about supply and demand, liquidity. We had a live setup play out, which was beautiful. If you guys have any questions, let me know. How about 3 more minutes? You guys have any questions? Go ahead and ask away. Hope you guys are having a good morning so far, as I am. Make sure you join the Discord so you don't miss out on any updates. I actually do have to upgrade my Discord. A lot of people are kind of ghost. I got to clean up a lot of people that are inactive as I start to become more active in that server. Just a reminder, next week I am going to incorporate new things that are more entertaining for my stream. I think I'm going to do reaction videos, but also tomorrow I should be live. It'll be the last day of the week. So make sure you guys are there, 6 a.m. sharp. And make sure you guys join the Discord. Everything that I talked about will be clipped up. I'll make some clips I'll post on Instagram or YouTube if necessary. And then, of course, after I end the stream, if I see any other analysis, I will send my chart in the Discord. All right. Have about 30 more seconds. Have any last second questions? Now is your chance. Otherwise, I'll see you guys tomorrow. I appreciate everyone that was on this live, even if it's 1 or 2 people. I appreciate it, honestly. All the support is amazing. But I'm gonna wrap it up. Hopefully this live was helpful. Again, if you guys have any questions, reach out to me on IG. Otherwise, have a good morning. Have a safe trading day, week, and month. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.